This is Jordan Grace, and you're listening to the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
BWB, this is One Nation Radio. You better get it right. Rich Latta, James Boyd came to give them life. The Blackest Wrestling Podcast has come to kick all ass and drop it 6 feet if they kicking trash. Word, let me welcome y'all to something different. And if you dig it, man, you should let some friends listen. We be getting it in, this on the regular dude. Ravish and flow, but this shit rude. See, James don't rap, so I had to break it down. The whole network, man, we coming for the crown. Raps in the columns, I keep them both covered. Making the beats too, so the listeners can bump it. Hit us with the rating, yeah, I'm saying it's a 5. Before you hit it, talk, bob your head side to side. This One Nation Radio, and this is the beginning. It's Rich, and I'm here with James. It's time to listen to One Nation.
We got to unleash the power of the pyramid.
This is Mike Sempervive from WrestlingObserver.com. Check me out on Wrestling Observer Live every day. And also check out your boys, Rich and James, on One Nation Radio.
This is Kenny Omega. We're listening to One Nation Radio. Check it out, guys. These guys know what's up. Big Kenny Omega fans, and that's all that counts to me. Goodbye and good night. Bang.
Yeah. Run it. Welcome to this week's edition of One Nation Radio. I'll edit that post, whatever. I botched on the intro I do all the time. Very simple ass intro. But Rich, what's going on, man?
Not much. Caitlin Clark and everybody have gone in. Caitlin Clark has caused everyone to go insane once again.
I see. That's where we start this week?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Let's get to it.
You know, the last couple times we talked about women's basketball has been joyous. We've been talking about the sport, the game, it is just like this thing has gotten out of control. People can't handle it. And it is, I think people are having a very tough time acknowledging what's exactly making things move and shake. People are having a tough time acknowledging, like, numbers, facts.
They're ignoring
Math, yeah.
Very, very similar to Chrissy Sides as a head coach, saying that she wants them to take a bunch of mid-range and long twos.
Yeah.
For the fever, yeah.
So this thing pretty much all jumped off last Saturday. We got the first pro meeting of Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever against Angel Reese, Camila Cardoso, and Chicago Sky. And this came, it's a great game. I watched the whole thing from start to finish. And it was like, a game of runs, and it was a fun game. I watched, and, crowd was excited, and crowd was sold out, of course. And from there, everyone was on Twitter, having a good time. And then, there was, early in the game, I noticed a woman named Kennedy Carter. And I actually sent a message to the group. I saw like how she was moving with the ball. And I could just tell I got the eye for when somebody's nice. I was like, yo, she's nice. Like I'm paying attention or whatever. And then later in the game, her and Caitlin Clark ended up like tussling on one end. There was a little bit of chirping going on between both sides. Who knows?
Right.
There was an elbow allegedly like from a rebound.
Yeah, but did you watch it
in real time?
Did you watch it? Have you watched it?
As far as like
that, the preceding alleged elbow.
Yeah, I saw. I was like, that's like while you're trying to grab a rebound, that's kind of light. I gotta say,
there you go.
I don't know if that warranted what came after.
That wasn't exactly the Judas effect, right?
That was not Ron Artest hitting James Harden
right.
with the
right. Remember the best part about that clip was like. Because Mike Breen was in the Palace when he jumped into the stands. When he threw that elbow, Mike Breen was like, "Oh no, Ron Artest, no! Like, don't do this again." But yeah, it was definitely one of those. Caitlin Clark's trying to make a play on the ball as someone's has possession, trying to turn around, and then like someone ends up on the ground or there's contact. But like that is. What you see like every third or fourth trip watching WNBA basketball, like if that's the dirty play, then like every woman by proxy is, or not proxy, but like by definition is dirty in the WNBA because they let these players play like this. And I have a further point about that, but yeah.
Then a couple plays later, like Caitlin Clark is catching the ball from an inbound, but before she can get the ball from Aaliyah Boston, who stood there and just watched it all happened. Kennedy Carter shoulder check and hip checks her, like, and Caitlin Clark takes a fall essentially, and then she looks at the ref like, "What the fuck is this?" Like, and I saw that and I was like, "Ugh!" Like, and immediately I was like, "This could blow up." And when I was watching the game, I didn't think much of it. I was like, "Call the foul!" Like, and then she made the free throws or whatever, and it actually ended up being the one free throw that won them the game. So it was kind of poetic in that sense.
Well, if old girl had made the first of those two free throws.
Oh yeah, Marina Mabry. Nobody talking about her. She scurried out the back door, Marina Mabry.
Hey, George Hill 2018 game 1 NBA Finals skated. Miss a free throw, never gets brought up again.
Yep. So like this whole thing was crazy. Like in the background, Angel Reese is jumping up, celebrating, kind of like, or looking like she's very happy with whatever work.
You're like, talk that talk. I was like, they finna get on your ass. And you was out here crying just during the Final Four about how mean people been about you. And it's like, you tweet about this girl in subliminals. You talked about her in the press conference, I guess yesterday or today. And then like you doing this, like, all right, man. If you want to play that villain role, that's on you. But we saw you fold when she beat you in the Final Four like a couple months ago. We saw that. We saw you in front of the world cry. But whatever, that's on you.
Yeah.
I guess you got tougher over the past 100 days. I don't know.
And between Clark and Reese, like neither of them really had exceptional games on Saturday.
No.
Like Caitlin Clark, I think she ended up with like 7 boards, like 6 assists. So she's like doing that. She ended up getting the WNBA Rookie of the Month, which a lot of people swore to God she wasn't going to get for some reason. And I think she only had
she's top 15 in scoring in the entire league, everybody, and then like she's like 4th in assists. Sounds like a productive player to me, but okay.
During all this, none of Caitlin Clark's teammates, even make any type of motion to like, come defend her.
Yep.
We got to keep it a stack. Caitlin Clark is the star player of this league. Like, I know people want to bring up all the great players in the league, and
that are better than her right now. Yeah,
they are great. They have been in the league.
Let's also acknowledge they are also better than her right now.
Yes, they're better than her right now. Just like most of the time when rookies come in the league, there are a class of superstars ahead of them.
Right.
It's not going to be forever, though. I'm here to let them know. And I think, people have had trouble seeing who the box office star is. It's like you mentioned it before. It's, there are oddly some parallels with wrestling.
Yeah, you have to remind me what I said because I talk a lot
about the Austin deal.
Oh yeah, it's like the whole situation of like, the Vince McMahon thing happened or whatever else, and like you're screwing Brett or whatever else. So that's the makings of something, and it's like, yeah, but like we got Vince McMahon, we got Steve Austin, we have Brett. Like I don't give a fuck about DX talking about DX right now. I don't give a fuck about talking about The Undertaker right now. Mick Foley, he's cool. Don't care about him right now. And like as far as talking about what's the changing thing. And like, we've had this before in other leagues. Michael Jordan's one. Tiger Woods. Venus and Serena Williams. We've had this where like, you have Magic and Larry, right? Like, Bird. Like, you have this thing of like, these two people are transformational these people are transformational to their particular sports and leagues, whatever you want to call it. And that doesn't mean that like, you hand them the keys and you write everything, you make cater the league towards them specifically. But it means you have a chance here, whether and it's up to you on how you try to foster it in. Now, there's been things that I've been thinking about, like, the past, since watching that game, as far as, like, in the whole, Caitlin Clark, ever since the Final Four up until now, when she doesn't talk to anybody, everyone has these issues, the way her teammates seem to back her up. There's something going on that the fans don't know, because, like, for that to happen is strange. Like, I've heard stuff about like Caitlin Clark as far as like she can be a whiny Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan type of pusher of buttons or whatever else in practice and that sort of thing, and not understanding that like she's at a certain level that other people aren't, and frustration with that kind of stuff. and that can wear thin if you don't know how to if you don't know how to handle that or how to talk to people. And the way that this all happened is like, and I also heard that Carter's also friends with a lot of them on the Fever. But it's like, yeah, even if you're friends with Fever, like you still got to get in between and be like, hey, don't let nothing happen after this happened. Like you got to at least throw out the fake, we got her back, even though, like the LeBron, Rondo, Chris Paul thing. Like obviously he's closer to Chris Paul than Rondo, but he got to get in between or whatever else or walk off with one of them, right? He walked off with Chris. It's just this weird. It's all this stuff that keeps adding, and it's like Angel Reese keeps saying stuff, and it's like what's the part that I don't like in particular is when Charles Barkley opened his fucking mouth. Was it 2 weeks ago when he basically turned this conversation from a online, which is not a real place, this talk conversation about Caitlin Clark, the WNBA, the popularity of it before and after she got there, and in the competitive nature of the WNBA players, it turned into, look, man, the fans online are saying goofy shit about Caitlin Clark, about what she is or isn't for the WNBA at this point in time. The players are, by and large, are not saying these things. He then put it into saying that by putting it onto the players, and now is rallied the same people that were actually the people that were causing the problems to begin with as far as the conversation negatively around Caitlin Clark and the WNBA into now we're looking at all these fucking black women. And it's like the black women in the league weren't saying shit. It was a black woman that was fucking online.
Yeah, like this thing has been turned.
I understand why they're riding for the league as a whole. I understand it. A lot of them are getting out of pocket with it.
Like
a
this
lot of
whole thing is,
math, and like it's like it's straight up ignoring math, and it's like okay, whatever, man. Like I get the reason, the feeling, the need to feel that you need to protect, but you got to communicate what you're trying to say better because y'all saying like she ain't all that is like. She may not be all that, but they fucking watching, by and large, mostly due to her. And you can pull up a Google Trends and look at Angel Reese, Cameron Brink, the other, Alyssa Feely, Cardoso, who just had her first game. It is her. It's her.
It's her, bro. I don't know what is the hesitation.
And for me, it's like I that doesn't mean you have to bend the knee toward. I'm watching WBA. I've watched it casually. Still, I've watched it probably since Grindr got to the league because I was wanting to see like, is Grindr actually good or is she just big, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is like the way this is all happening. Like, there's so many things I'm thinking about as far as like things that have happened in the NBA that happened 20, 25 years ago that they've had to have their way of changing the league to deal with the criticisms of the league because of the flat out problem that is we have these black athletes in this black sport in this black league, and we are here trying to command a white audience everywhere we go, TV, in the arena, online, and that's what happens when we talk about Ron Artest. When Ron Artest ran them up to those fucking stands, that changed everything. You can't go, look, your teammate is in a squabble, 94 down the floor, you can't step onto the court, otherwise you get suspended. I don't know if that's really a thing in the WNBA, but they squabble, and they're allowed to squabble because people don't care. It's very similar to like hockey, where in baseball, where they're allowed to have brawls, whatever else, and no one freaks out. But once Artest went to the stands, everything changed. And the WNBA hasn't had that moment where like they've had to have so many eyes on them and people are freaking out. And there's also this part where society, by and large, they have turned this into a culture war. Yes, society by and large believe these women are delicate. They don't believe that while they are pro athletes, they're pro athletes in this woman's rank, and they're not tough, even though they all have the capacity to give birth.
Yeah,
the most painful thing in the fucking world without dying, but apparently, like, so for us, it's easy for us to be like, nah, they just playing ball, they can be physical, whatever else. If y'all are, not used to watching women's basketball or whatever else, and you see it feels more like the college game, which by and large is officiated fucking poorly, it always has been, and too physical, and it's hard to see people do, show skill or whatever else, it can be a frustrating watch at times. So, yeah. But the WNBA has always been a whoever's best at the rim wins league. It's a forward and centers league, and it always has been. And then we have this one player that could be transformational, and another part of 20 years ago the growth. Like, I'm looking at it and like thinking, all right, are they going to come to a point with Juju coming in in 3 years, with Paige coming in next year? Are they going to say, hey, we have Asia right now, we have Breonna Stewart, Taurasi's on her last legs, so she already passed her prime, she's still holding on. We got Candace Parker just retired. What
Kelsey
are we going to do as far as star power? Are they going to do the thing that they did when it's like, all right, we got Steve Nash out here, and we have a bunch of talented guards, but we also got Darren Williams, Jason Kidd, Baron Davis, Chauncey Billups, all these big ass power forward, point guards that are 6'4" and hand check you and muscle you and wear you down, right? Like, they changed the league, and like that's the reason why someone like Isaiah Thomas was able to become an All NBA level player. There's not a chance he's running through Baron Davis and Chauncey Billups and them and doing what he was doing in 2017. Not a chance. So is the league going to be more accommodating to the style of play that is more popularized in the league now?
I'm glad you brought up the style of play, because right. People swear everything is happening because Caitlin Clark is white. Like, if it was that easy, like, Kelsey Plum would be on top of the league.
Right.
Cameron Brink would be on top of the league.
Right.
Neither one of them. But like, if you're talking about the shit with the pretty privilege and all that stuff, I'm like,
I'm not getting into her looks. I'm not getting into I don't care.
Like,
I don't care.
Like I said, like when people analyze this stuff, like, they end up saying the things like about this sport, like, and it kind of gives away what their real issue is. It's like any issue they have socially or some type of axe to grind. They're
projecting their political worldview onto
these women, like, and like, who didn't ask for this largely, like, you know, and then like, you know, some of the deals, like, you know, I think Caitlin Clark has such a transformational play style, which makes her more appealing, as well as, you know, the whole thing, you know, her success in college, that makes her more appealing than even some of the longtime players. It's like, yo, I imagine people weren't, you know, when Michael Jordan came in the league, people weren't all like, what about Muslim Malone, motherfucker? Like, that's kind of like what they're doing right here. It's like, yo, you gotta, like, I just don't think these people are prepared to embrace the new people that are watching the sport.
By people, you mean like online fans?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I make sure what you mean by people, because it's like, all right, just want to make sure. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, because like, you know, like we see all the you know, the stuff, like, you know, I've been very critical of Aaliyah Boston. I pulled that back online of late, just because, you know, first couple of games I was like, yo, she
played good yesterday.
Yeah, I was like, yo, she's not doing her thing, you know, whatever. And then, you know, I saw lots of people saying that, but then I saw a lot of pushback for it as well. And I'm like,
it seems like her style she's adjusting to the part where like they are blitzing Caitlin at a higher rate than anyone's ever would have anticipated, and like she was not last year. Like, they were throwing the ball to her. Right. Yeah. Like, she was like playing like Andrew Bynum essentially. Yeah. Like, I don't know about how much. I haven't seen much of her face-up game, but like, it was like they were feeding her in the block or whatever else, or, you know, the elbow, and then she would go to work, as opposed to like now she's doing a whole bunch of short rolling. It's like, people gotta learn how to do that. Like, the reason why, like, think of how long it took like Capella to learn how to short roll. It took him like 2 years, and then eventually when the Warriors went like all small, they ran him off the court because he couldn't even handle it against that level. Like, it takes time.
Yeah, and everything in this has just gotten so negative. And then, you know, with the Kennedy Carter thing, people lost their mind, like, with some of this stuff. And, you know, they were just, you know, various arguments about this has always happened in the league and all this stuff. I'm like, all right, man, is it all lives matter? Is this what we're doing with this? Like, we're talking about Caitlin. Like, we're talking about this scenario.
Yeah. My argument is like, hey, this has always happened. My argument is, hey, like, look.
Don't y'all want some new shit?
Y'all are, look, if y'all want to gatekeep, fine. If y'all want people, or not, if y'all want the league to have the respect it's always should have had for the level of skill and the level of domination Team USA's basketball has had in the Olympics and all that kind of stuff, then the product is going to have to change to be more palatable to watch. The same way that, like, hey, you saw how college basketball moved the shot clock down. You saw how they opened up, like, freedom of play with guard play. like the WNBA, from pardon my ignorance, but I don't see it looks a lot the same like when I was watching Cynthia Cooper and them. It looks exactly the same. It is a throw the ball in, let them go to work.
A lot of layups. Yeah. A lot of missed layups.
Yeah, and a lot of like missed layups because you off balance because someone gave you one of these.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like if y'all want that, fine. But like I think that there's a change of the guard with what we have in these wings and guards that are coming in, and where that they can be the people that you can tune in and go watch in the future with Juju and Paige, and also Caitlin.
Like Juju's gonna come in and like
I also think about like how would this if this league got opened up, how would this unlock someone like Sabrina too? So I'm wondering like this is now the time, and like you can't say that like, hey, we're only doing this for this league. Like, no, WNBA had this over the last 20 years and was dragged kicking and screaming from what we talked about earlier with the suspensions, from the opening up of play, from the dress code, all that stuff. Because they were chasing the dollars. They were, and like flat out, like that thing that happened.
Flat out, it's never worked. They've never had a greater opportunity than they have with Caitlin Clark. I think the league needs to monitor the make sure keep her upright. Like make sure
it ain't even for me when it comes to the Caitlin thing. Like she's getting bumped or whatever. It's like it's fine. Like Steph Curry gets beat up, whatever. I don't care. Like
I'm not worried about Caitlin in that sense because like you can see it. She's tough. She can take it or whatever.
What I mean is
in
like
the long run,
all
like
of
I
this
think
stuff,
this will make her better in the long run. Like as far as a player, like
if she doesn't break mentally, If she doesn't break mentally, yeah. But what I mean is that like as far as Caitlin, I'm talking about the larger picture of like when was Alyssa Thomas that threw Angel Reese on her neck first to the ground last week. Like that shit. No, that has to go. All of it. That's goonery. We got rid of that shit in the NBA. So like when people don't want to watch that shit. Like it's a part of a larger conversation. Like you have that happen, and also like then you have like this happened to Caitlin on a Sunday when there's no other sports and people are watching this shit, and it's like this is the tipping point where like all right. No one wants to watch basketball, ugly 90s basketball. People will lie and romanticize that shit, but then ask them, hey, did you watch Orlando versus Cleveland in the first round of the playoffs this year? No, you didn't. You didn't tune in to NBA TV? Oh, you're a fucking liar? Okay, thank you. So that shit has to go, right? Like, some of the goon shit has to go. And like, I don't mind it because I don't want to watch that shit. I didn't want to watch it with Lambeer. And that's interesting when you talking about the Sparks and or I saw the Cheryl Ford thing, right?
Yeah.
Lambeer's the coach.
Yeah, and Rick Mahorn.
Right. Like, nah, man. That shit has to go. That shit has to go. And if they, let me phrase it. It doesn't have to go. It will behoove them for it to go if they want to maximize this opportunity. That's what I will take back what I said, and that's how I'll say it. If they want to maximize the opportunity for the next 5 years or whatever else with what's coming into the league, they would be best for them to say, hey, we're opening this thing up. It ain't about Caitlin. It's about no one wants to watch people do this. And also, and the one thing I don't like is that our society feel like women are delicate. Like me and you watch women clank fucking skulls. Me and you watch women throw each other on their heads, necks, and shoulders or whatever else. These women ain't delicate, but the greater society believes they are. So when someone throws Caitlin's not little but not big white ass on the ground, they're freaking out. Like I just saw it was a Chicago Tribune said that like off the court basketball court, this would be assault. And I was like, this is the softest shit I've ever seen. This is the softest shit since Will Smith got slapped Chris Rock.
Like, yeah, like I don't want people to think that I'm like, yeah, man, like Caitlin can't handle this. She can clearly handle that, but it's like, why should she have to? Like, it
ain't even about her. Why should any of them have to deal with? Oh, if I do some, Alyssa Thomas is going to just one of these because that's her rep. That's her rep. She got a track record of this, right? Like, nah, man. Like we don't like people like Pat Bev and Draymond. We want them to fuck out the league. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Grayson Allen, get the fuck out of here. We don't want these people in our league, in the NBA. Why would I want it in the women's league? The fuck? I don't want to watch that shit.
I just think some of the reaction to all this has been it's just been a lot, man. And it's like, I just kind of want to break down the basketball players because, like, I like the way, you know, Caitlin Clark plays. I like Dejanay Carrington. I like Kennedy Carter. Like, that was the first time I ever saw her play. She balled during the game. She had like 19 points. Yeah. Great handle, great shot. And, you know, she got into it a lot with the media. And, you know, she ran the social media after basically not wanting to talk to the actual media. So there was like, you know,
and that's another thing. Like,
there was
this
some
whole part,
two-faced, you know, stuff on that.
The media, the thing is, like, the exposure that they're getting, right? Like, she could not have gotten away with that if that was the NBA.
At all.
She could not have no comment at that and then start tweeting spicy like that without that being a huge, gigantic, and it is a gigantic thing right now. But I'm saying, like, they would have fined her for that.
They're not ready for it. Like, largely, I think, as a league, like they're way too, like, public on how they communicate. They're almost like,
well, this
they
is the
haven't
exchange,
been media trained almost. Like, it's
no, they're media trained. No, okay, so Rich, right? Like, right or wrong, we've been talking about this, about like how likable the personalities on the Las Vegas Aces are, right? Particularly me, right? And you get that kind of personality from the NBA players on their own fucking podcast, not just for free, right? Because they have been trained through people not to say anything, don't do anything, don't say nothing spicy, no bulletin board material, nothing spicy, nothing that can be left as receipts. You just gotta be, you gotta, all these people gotta act like they're fucking Russell Wilson and say absolutely nothing and devoid of personality until they're on their podcast with their homeboy, and then they talk about what crazy shit happened at Joe Johnson's mansion when he was when you were Atlanta Hawk. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the thing we're talking about. So, like, when it comes to that, it's like, all right, the eyes are on you. So now what's going to happen is all these personalities are going to happen. These people are going to, like, all these great personalities, all this stuff we've seen, all the charismatic people we've seen in W. When this all changes up, they're all going to turn to the NBA robots. And you're not going to see someone like Sydney Colson be fucking hilarious. You're not going to see Asia Wilson be charismatic, right? You're not going to see Diana Taurasi be that like, how do I say it? That much of a ball buster, right? You're not going to see that stuff. That's going to strip the league of its uniqueness. Now, for the people that have been watching the league, you're not going to see all the drama and all that crazy shit or whatever else.
Skylar Diggins talking about her lady region,
right? Saying that she had old body parts, right? Like that kind of stuff is going to be stripped away, and the people that have been watching and falling and loving this league for a long time, I understand why they don't want all this attention around, because I don't know if they recognize it or not, but like the more eyes on it, that's going to make this shit flip up, and they're going to lose the uniqueness and the character of the league that they love as this thing becomes more financially successful. Now, it's the trade-off. It's a trade-off, and you already know how that trade is going to go, because this league has been held up by the NBA that's been doing nothing but what? Scrapping tradition, scrapping everything in the name of profit. It's gonna happen.
Yeah,
and it does stink. It does stink, because I want to see Chelsea.
But I think if they would just be a little bit like less like trying to run these socially engineered campaigns to like smear like people like Caitlin Clark. It's like, yo, just kind of take your foot off the gas just a little bit. And I think people will largely kind of just watch the games and be excited. But it's like, we have to be the people that are newer fans. They have to be fans on the terms of the old, you know, whatever. Like,
that's what you will hope, but it's not going to happen. And you can already see, and that's why the pushback's happening. Sorry,
but I'm saying it's like, to them, the new people have to like get with that program, but like that's not how a lot of these things work. It's like the stars that, like the new people, the people that have been in the league are not their stars. It's just like It's just like wrestling. Like the people, like they're not our people or whatever.
Right.
Like, and then as Paige comes in, as Juju comes in, like it's only gonna get worse. Like, I don't think any of them will have the unique, like, kind of cult of personality that is surrounding Caitlin.
And that's the crazy part about the cult of personality. She don't display no personality. She just go out there and play ball. So, like, I think a lot of it is, like, people project their things of, like, they just project because I remember one time Dan Le Batard was talking about like why sports writers like baseball players that don't say shit. People like Cal Ripken Jr., people like Derek Jeter, because like you can just hit on the hero beat and throw whatever you want on them and attach whatever like adjectives you want onto that person because there's nothing that flies in the face to say one way or the other. You just can you can just fill the context yourself with your own opinion. When Caitlin Clark don't say shit, everybody's projecting their opinion onto everything around her, and she don't say shit.
Look, if she came out one day and was like, fuck y'all, I'm the reason why this shit moving, they would all be pissed or whatever. They would. They would all be pissed. And part of me is like, I wish she would. Like, because look, it's true, but they just don't want to admit it.
Nah, Brewhaven. Brewhaven. Larry Bird was spicy, bro. Larry Bird was out here. Larry Bird was one of the greatest shit talkers of all time. And will call people out in the media or whatever else. His own teammates. Like, nah, it's not. He was a lot more like Dan Taurasi than he was like Caitlin Clark.
Larry Bird used to say shit like he would go up to Isaiah Thomas and be like, so, and this is the early 80s in the Pistons. Or, one year he's playing against the Pistons, he'd be like, yeah. And he would have like Kelly Tripucka guarding him or Kiki Vandeweghe or whatever. He'd go up to Isaiah Thomas and he'd be like, so y'all ain't got no brothers?
Right.
Like who's
he was offended
me?
when the white people guarded him. Right.
And then the next year he came back, Isaiah Thomas would be like, hey, Larry, I got somebody for your ass. Like, now,
yeah, Rodman.
Ooh, Rodman. Like,
Yep. And it was also, was it against the Hawks we did the left-handed game? What game was that? Or who was he playing with the left-handed game?
I think it was the Hawks.
Yeah. So like Larry Bird was definitely a personality. Like Larry Bird was out here getting drunk with the sports writers.
Yeah, drunk off Budweiser. Like,
yeah.
For Caitlin Clark's part in it, like she largely is letting the things happen around her. She's not whining about it. She's flatly stating these things that are happening. She's like, yeah, it's not a basketball play, but she's like moving right on.
Right.
Because she cannot afford to like the people on Twitter to run these socially engineered campaigns to like just make up things about her. So like
and the best they got is her relatives are saying MAGA shit. Her relatives. Yeah. Like, why do we know? Like, okay, we policing this now. Like, why do we even know Draymond's mom's name? Because she was out here defending her son punching Jordan Poole in the fucking face. You know what I'm saying? On Twitter.
Yeah.
Until her account got deleted. Like, we don't police people for, especially men. We don't police men for the things that like the people in their families do online, right? But like when it comes to women, it's a double standard of they supposed to know better. It's like, nah, man, like the standard's standard. If they ain't got to worry about that shit, neither should she. Or none of them. Like, so if somebody, right, like, Inescu's auntie go crazy, they ain't got shit to do with her. That's not her responsibility.
Yeah.
I tell you right now, one of my family members started tweeting out crazy shit, I ain't got nothing to do with it. That is their opinion. If I disagree with it, I'll tell them. I'll tell y'all online or in person or to them I disagree with it. You on your own, I save no one.
And the best thing about this, I believe the Sky and the Fever do this thing in like 14 more days or something. They run it back. So like this is going to keep going. Obviously, it's going to be like this is kind of how like stars are created within sports. Because like, if you're just following the Fever, you're seeing Caitlin Clark ride through this league essentially. And it's like, you're meeting these characters along the way. Right. Like you got familiar with Alyssa Thomas and DeWanna Bonner and the Son and Dejanay Carrington. You got familiar with the Aces. You hate the Liberty because the Liberty just been beating the shit out of the Fever. Like just dog walking them.
Last night?
They killed them last night because they finally caught them all those games
back to
back, and
Roll
like
back
the
too.
last game before like they had played like 12 games in 20 days or some shit. So
Yeah,
they're off to like Friday, which is like their first time they get to practice or some shit.
And we've been talking about it. They were like, hey.
The WNBA sees where the dollars is at. We going to work now.
Go out there and I don't give a damn how tired y'all are. Go out there and make us this money, Caitlin. And, all these WNBA schedules are weird this year because of the Olympics. And I didn't even think about that until I saw a tweet about it like earlier, a couple days ago. And I was like, Rich, this is why everybody has weird schedules of like running like 4 and 5 and all this shit. He's like, oh yeah, the Olympics. And it's like right after the All-Star break too. Yeah.
And look, they did that and we put the fever everywhere we can.
Yeah, it's definitely that part. It's definitely like send her out there, put her out there against the Liberty and the Aces and the Sun and let them beat the shit out of them. Like, look, they use Caitlin like how I thought they was finna use Britt Baker in AEW. Like, that is a Trojan horse. Y'all came here to see a white woman. Come out here and watch these other women beat the shit out of her so you can see how good our league is.
But it's not gonna last forever. Like anybody that's like that doesn't get it with her, like and be like, oh, she's not winning. They're 2-9. Like it's not about this year. I want to make it abundantly clear.
Nah,
it's not about this year.
It's not.
But next year, the year after that, and the year after that, when there's a team that actually gets constructed around her, there's a coach that actually knows what they're doing and was hired for Caitlin, unlike Christy Sides. This is a multiple-time MVP in the waiting, James. Like, I've seen enough. Like, I feel like I can project it.
She's gonna look at worst. She's gonna be a multiple-time All-Star. At worst. And I'm not gonna go no further because like I don't know if the rules are gonna change in her favor to where she can like become the Steph Curry of the WNBA or whatever else. But like even without that,
look,
more time in the weight room, more games, whatever else. She is going to be a WNBA All-Star. Maybe even next season. Well, hell, she's going to start. Well, she's going to be
one this year.
She's going to be a starter this year because of the votes. But you get my point. Like, I mean, a legitimate one. Like, don't get me wrong, she's not that far out. Like, given the year
she's going to make Team USA too.
She made the team this. She made an All-Star team this year anyway.
She's going to make Team USA too. And what are people going to do?
She's already on the team, isn't she?
Nah, like she's in the pool. Like they haven't announced it yet. Okay. But look, it's going to be real funny when Clark is on Team USA and some other people are not. I'll leave it at that.
And it's always weird because of that Gina Auriemma shit. It's always weird.
That's true. That's one thing we can't discount.
Remember Nneka didn't make it last year? Remember Nneka didn't make the international team last year or last time? And like, have you seen what she's been doing this year?
No.
She's been killing. Like, she might be the second best player in the league so far this season. And that's another part that pissed me off about all this talk is like, hey man, you're not real what the fuck Angela Wilson's doing this season. She's having the best
like
season anyone's ever had to start the season.
Or some shit. She's having like 26 and 12. I think they've only played 7 games, but she's going crazy.
For those
I think the finals are going to be the Sun and the Aces. Like, and it's going to be a war.
For those that are NBA fans, whatever else. Asia Wilson's PR or hardcore stat nerds, whatever else. Her last I checked. I didn't total in the last thing. The last I looked before last game, her PR is 35. I think the highest number ever in the NBA was 33. So it's like she's fucking killing this year. It's like the 2-time defending champion is having a best year when she got robbed of the MVP last year, and she about to set this whole thing on fire. And like we this is what we concerned with. Like I get it, but it's like this league is riddled with messiness and drama, and I love it just now getting into some of these storylines, whatever. And I wish I had watched it more seriously and more closely earlier. But like
just before we get to the dating.
Sorry. Yes.
The people that's dating each other.
Right. Yeah. People going through divorces, breaking up, and like people, teammates getting thrown to the ground, and your teammate gotta basically pull like the remember
like not too much on her. Like
Do you remember when Kevin McHale clothesline Rambis, and then I think it was James Worthy that stopped Rambis from getting to the fight? Like the way that happened with the Wanda Bonner and them, it was like it's the same thing except that this more like, oh no, you can't be fighting her because I'm trying to get my family back in order. You can't be doing this. You're gonna fuck this up. Like it's so good, man. It's so good. This league is so messy, and for those that have been watching, there are going to be changes. I know. It may not be the same, but You always thought these people deserved this recognition and the money that comes with all that kind of stuff, and they shouldn't have to go overseas to make most of their bank or whatever else. This woman can be transformational for the league. And like I'm not know if eventually they're going to make concessions or changes to make this thing work in a way to where like the league is going to be more opened up as far as the guard play. It just is. I already see it. I already see it on the horizon. And like the NBA had this stuff 20 years ago. The W, because of the lack of attention or whatever else, wasn't under the microscope in that way. It's going to change. I just know. Yep. I see it coming.
Yep. Like you can look at the Bad Boys and you know how the rules changed then. You can look at the rule changes in the early 2000s.
The Knicks and the Pacers and
then like in theory you have more players now in the W adept to like, because you're not dealing with like footers who you got to you play off the court. Like a lot of the post players can already shoot. Right. Like, and you know there are people that already like have these floor stretching games. Yes. Kind of like in theory, like
it should be much easier to open up the floor. Yeah.
Correct.
Now they still have tons of, you know, backup bigs on them rosters.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people are going to be missing layups to get their own rebounds and stuff. Like,
look, it's going to be a job creation for women that are under 6 foot flat over the coming years in the W. It's going to happen.
Yeah, but like
a lot of them 6'4", a lot of them 6'4" power forwards and centers in the WNBA, the backups.
Look, it's coming. Like, and you know what else is coming? Like the offensive minds are going to be coming to the W. Like someone like Chrissy Sides, I looked into it. She's like a career assistant coach, Louisiana Tech, in and out of the WNBA as an assistant in different spots. Like there are going to be like offensive gurus like that are going to be going to the W to essentially show what they can do to provide like on the NBA level. Or I wouldn't be shocked if we start seeing like, you know, people that are assistants in the league jump over to the W and be like, yo, this is what I can do and stuff like that. And especially as the pay scales, you know, start rising. Like when those offenses start coming, we're going to get the defense to match it. We're going to get Lady Tom Thibodeau, essentially, like, or, you know, a dude jump over with like, hey, this is how you stop this shit. So like, there's going to be a cool basketball element of this, which I don't want people to lose in all the culture war stuff, because like, I just don't get it. Like, as far as like it's never appealed to me in that sense. Like, as far as like, who is who, and like, because like I grew up loving UConn, like and Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi and like
Swing Cash
and loving Lisa Leslie and the Sparks and stuff like that. And I was like, does it have to be a culture war? Like, does it have to does it have to be this arena like to get off every grievance that you have with or injustice with life itself? Well, it's like there's so much that can be cool just as a sport. Yeah. And like,
it's disheartening. And there's a thing with Caitlin, right? That's gonna happen, right? Or it has happened, right? They see that needle mover, and what's happened? These fucking debate shows have picked it up. It's only going to get worse. Like, it's only get worse. You saw what happened with Monica McNutt and Stephen A. Smith today. You saw, like, we talked about Barkley a week ago or 2 weeks ago. Like, as they get more popular, more eyes on it, they gonna say dumb shit and they gonna have these dumb conversations, and it's like, welcome to the attention you always wanted. Now people get to talk about your league, and people only have this much knowledge of it, and they gonna spout off or whatever else, and that becomes the number one top conversation. People that barely even know your league are gonna talk about this thing, and it's gonna lead conversations online. It's gonna be a breeding pool of dumb shit. So get ready. Like, remember last year during Game 4 of the WNBA Finals, I was like, hey man, if someone was having this kind of game that Breanna Stewart was having, they'd be killing her. Talking about where's the clutch gene, choking, all that kind of shit. But it's a W, so it slides. Let that shit happen again.
Not no more.
Let that shit happen again. They're gonna be take her trophy back, give it back to Asia. It's gonna happen. So all the dumb stuff you see when people talk about, you know, the legacy of these players and act like everyone was always garbage, get ready to hear about the W. Congratulations, you're mainstream now. Don't it feel great?
We done with the 2000s.
Oh
We done with Candace Parker.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Pat McAfee calling Caitlin Clark a white bitch on fucking television. What the fuck is he doing?
Yeah, man. He was I know what he was trying to say, but it's like, bro, you would not call somebody like if this was dudes, you would not say, yeah, this is a white boy from Indiana or something like this, or shit like that. Like I know
he would not say cracker. No, he would not.
Yeah, it's the one. Yeah, he would not say that. Like, but
is that the first time it's ever been dropped on ONR?
No.
I think it is. I know I've never done it.
Oh. Look, there's too much audio. Actually,
well, you did. You told yourself. I was going. Okay.
There's too much audio for me to flatly dismiss or confirm or deny. Like,
we aren't the WNBA. We aren't exploding in popularity and multiplying in popularity. People aren't going to go through these podcasts with a fine tooth comb. But once we end up on Spotify, sponsored Spotify shows, the Social Suplex Network, then maybe so. We'll see. Stay tuned.
Yeah, man. Like, but I just want people to remember, like, one thing I think is getting lost in it is the humanity of the players. Like, and people need to remember these are humans, like, that we're talking about, and I think a lot of that is getting lost in like how people are covering this, and we don't have an extensive history in covering the sport, but I'm gonna like remember to respect the players as I would, and we're about to talk about the NBA finals, or I think James got to go, but I'm gonna talk about a little preview of the NBA finals as the AEW World Champion calls my phone. I'm gonna have to hit him back, but
ask me if he wants to pick up this shift when I get off.
Yeah, man, it's a lot, man. But I guess James, anything else you want to add?
Nah, man, I didn't think we were gonna spend this much time talking about the W in my short time here. I thought we were gonna move on to a couple other things, but unfortunately, time's up, so I'm out of here. So, thanks for having me on the show. Thanks for listening. Thanks for the hold up. Thanks for dealing with this nonsense, Rich. But I'll holler at you, man.
No doubt. I am going to keep it rolling here as...
There you go.
Peace. I am going to keep it rolling, guys, this evening. Okay. Let's do it, man. This is Rich here. So what else we got here? The NBA Finals is due to jump off in 3 days. We have Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks taking on the Boston Celtics of Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. There's so much to kind of think about going into this thing. This is like one of the first kind of like new school, I would say, NBA finals. Like there's not holdovers from, guys that are last decade guys. These are guys that are going to largely come into their own in the 2020s. A lot of people were very excited about the Luka Doncic and Jason Tatum matchup. Kyrie Irving coming back to Boston is like the kind of cinema and script writing that I think is just incredible. Like you couldn't ask for something better than this. Like as far as if you're looking for the drama, and I'm kind of afraid of some of the stuff that is going to be said by the people in Boston, Massachusetts, to Kyrie Irving, who they just detest from 5 years ago. There's been a lot of talk about Kyrie Irving and his quote unquote redemption. I don't really think that we should forget exactly what he was doing. Like he was doing flat out irresponsible shit, and there's going to be like a lot of like recasting him and rewriting of what he's had going on. And to his credit, he's largely like shut the fuck up and bald, which is almost all you can ask for, and he's on the verge of possibly winning his second NBA championship. I'm gonna pick the Mavs in, let's see, I'm gonna pick the Mavs in 6. I like the team a little more, like as far as like when I'm thinking about the two best players that I want to hand the ball to. I definitely just want to go with Luka and Kyrie, just because one-on-one they're just going to kill you, fry you, and they have no conscience. Like, and they're not even thinking about it. We already know Kyrie's a killer. He's been on this stage before. Celtics have folded like origami on this stage before, and flat out, I'm a Lakers fan. Anybody but the Celtics. Like, we're going to keep it real transparent in here. So, this is, there have been much talk about the Celtics' easy run through the East. And, a lot of that stuff, look, they will have a chance to prove whether they were properly prepared for the Mavericks. All I know is the Mavericks have won 3 series on the road against all 50-win-plus teams. They are ready. I think they're going to, whoop some ass, personally. I got the Mavericks in 6. So, what would it mean for Luka Doncic? There's a lot of different champions that have happened the last couple of years as far as, yeah, man, we had the Lakers in the bubble. We had Giannis in the Bucks. We had 2022, the Golden State Warriors got, just one last one. We had Jokic, now Doncic. It's a little bit too early to say like he's going to ascend to the top, but this thing is kind of like the 1970s where there's just multiple champions, and it's like, yeah, man, they gotta. there's no set alpha dog right now. I think it's kind of cool for the league, especially like last decade. We had 4 straight Cavs Warriors finals, which is insane for the amount of talent that's in the league that we kept getting these same 2 teams to meet each other. I think this is actually kind of better representative of the league, like as far as like some of the talent that's around there. And, I kind of like to see, a lot of the different guys rise to the championship status, see them on the NBA final stage. So, yeah, very excited about the series. Fuck the Celtics. Flat out. So let's move on to some wrestling talk. The biggest thing to happen in wrestling this week, we had the announcement, Will Ospreay won one of the most exciting matches in Dynamite history. He won that gauntlet match that featured Mystico, Hechicero, Shota Umino, Castagnoli, Jay White, Orange Cassidy. Just a phenomenal list of guys. And the winner is going to Forbidden Door to face the AEW World Champion Swerve Strickland. When I saw this, I had no idea this was happening. I found out just like y'all, so I got to kind of enjoy it. I haven't even got a chance to ask kind of about like what went into this yet. So I'm just gonna kind of speak freely, if I can about my thoughts on it. And I think this is very inspired booking. I don't think there's been a more exciting and kind of unpredictable match on paper for the AEW world title in ages. Like I felt like we all kind of knew Swerve was gonna whoop Christian. We knew that he was gonna beat Joe. MJF and Samoa Joe, is that? No, I think there's a whole nother level from that. You got, the all-in stuff and a lot of the MJF stuff at the second half of the year. You had going a long way, man. Danielson, he was the first challenger. Like, we already knew MJF was going to win. This is real unpredictable. Strictly for the fact Will Ospreay is, like, rolled into this promotion like a supernova, and I think it would be hard to deny the level of work that he's put in and the impact on the buildings. Like, just you see the way the crowd reacts to this guy. It's like this magnetic force. And at the same time, we sat here on this show, James and I, a couple months ago. I said, where I felt like this was going to be the main event of All In, where I was like, the story of this promotion, to me, that I'm looking at it, is like Swerve and Ospreay are racing in parallel lanes to each other for the spot. And Swerve won the championship, but there's still more, I think, to decide between them, that the championship, whoever's wearing it, doesn't necessarily settle. However, AEW has done the inspired thing of bringing these guys together quicker. And I guess this would be it's happening at Forbidden Door. Normally, a New Japan wrestler would, get this kind of opportunity. Swerve actually on this show about a month ago said he wanted to, face Shingo Takagi if it was up to him. That wasn't the way it ended up happening. I just look at it with Swerve and Will. Swerve and Will is a hotter match that they can make than any person from New Japan, flat out. And this is like a business of making the biggest matches you can, or the biggest matches you feel you have at the time that you can put together. And if you can put Swerve and Will together right now, and these guys are willing to do business with each other, and there's a good storyline, there's excitement behind it, I'm not gonna delay that, especially when right now they do not have any other pay-per-views on the calendar until All In, I believe. They have June, at the end of June, there's not a July pay-per-view unless they add one, and then we're in August at All In right there. So this is kind of now or never with this thing, it feels like. And between these guys, I feel like you have clearly picked one of them already that's going to be in the main event of All In, that's going to take the championship against whoever wins the Owen tournament, which I'm seeing a lot of people forget about. A lot of people, I think this thing's going to be loaded up. Everybody in this thing, I think Ospreay's going to be in it, I think Danielson's going to be in it, I think Hangman's going to be in it, but I think there's there's something that I keep flashing back to, why did Will Ospreay beat Bryan Danielson? I keep flashing back to that in my mind. So we will see if that comes into play here. But I feel like Swerve and Ospreay coming together, this is the best versus the best. And that's what I want to see as a fan. I don't necessarily want to see everything getting booked so a guy's protected here. A guy doesn't have to lose to somebody. You have to keep guys away from each other. If there's, there have been criticisms of Swerve's title reign, which I think have largely been a lot of things people are trying to say but cannot express completely. So I feel like I can just kind of expose what they're saying. You can't say he hasn't, wrestled. This guy's he's had already a great run of matches. He's had awesome matches, and people are harping on segment placement and things like that. But I would just tell those people to read a chart and see where the best quarters are. It's usually your first quarter, your fifth quarter, or the main event. And the main event normally struggles, so I would want to keep Swerve where they've had him, which is in segment 5, and also, maybe in the opening segment, because that's the lead-in. Even though the lead-in hasn't been as strong of late, I would offer those people to read a chart. But what Swerve could use, because what any champion could use, is a hot match. And Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland, years of history, years of backstory between them, if you want to dig in it that far. I'm excited to see which way they're going with it. Swerve on Collision actually did a promo that was really great, ended up closing the show, and his whole thing was, I had to sit, at Forbidden Door and watch the last 2 years. I didn't make the card. And I was on the pre-show wrestling against Despy and Kanemaru in a tag match. I was on the pre-show again, the 8-man tag, getting the pin, while Will Ospreay was on the main show, showing out between his matches with Orange Cassidy and Kenny Omega. And as great as those guys were, the guy that got you to the main event was Swerve Strickland and the AEW Championship. I think that's a cool way to start the smoke. I think these guys are going to have plenty to say to each other. I'm fired up about this match, just because I think we're looking at a match of the year candidate. I think it's a match that you put it on paper and you're international champion versus the world champion. There's kind of a best versus best element to it, and then there's all right, the meta story of Will Ospreay in so many people's eyes needs to be just force to the championship. It's a colossal failure if he's not winning the championship at Wembley this month or this year. James and I have talked about what the best course of action would be to make money with Will Ospreay for a longer period of time in that first road to the title. Tunnel Talk has talked about the concept of the special guy, and Trish and Sarah have expanded on this. or it was backwards. It's one of them. And then, you see the way people act about Will Ospreay generally, just because he is so great. He does light up the your cage matches, your star rating systems and stuff like that. Like, this guy's phenomenal. Love him. Like, nobody's a bigger fan of Will Ospreay than me. Like, as far as like wanting to watch good matches, who do I want to see? I'm gonna draft Will Ospreay, or in that class. He's in that class with how I feel about Kenny Omega and Bryan Danielson and that stuff like that. But like, I think this thing is like, how do I say this? I think the rush to crown him is a mistake, and I think him coming in and failing against someone like a Swerve, a guy that you could say needs something else to really like drive it home, like as far as like, yo, this is who they're putting the money behind right now. This is like the plan right now. And to Swerve's credit, he's done everything you asked of him, all in the media, week to week, great performances, defending the title, bringing in celebrities, bringing in people that and appealing to audiences beyond wrestling. For 2024, I think Swerve Strickland is is needed right now to push through and show that guy is somebody that you push the button on and it was successful. Like, Will Ospreay, for his for the thing for Will, he's always going to be there, and I think people are so scared that he's not going to be there that's why they want to rush it so much. But I think riding the wave and getting as much out of Swerve as you can, like as far as like who he appeals to, the different matches that are available to him. To me, taking Will to Wembley this year is a disservice to them both. Like, and nothing against Will at all. Like, I think you bring him to Wembley and you have him at Wembley announce next year, I will win this motherfucker, like at this arena. So it gives them the reason to come back. It gives them another year to promote that stuff. Especially like going into year 3, we've mentioned it. They're going to need something. It is hard to run the same venues year after year after year. We saw Double or Nothing this year. Like, in it, 5 years of being in Las Vegas. Like, it's time to go. And it's going to be time to go if they just keep emptying the clip on Wembley. You're not going to have anything to go back with. I think this is going to be a match of the year candidate. I think this is going to be the first step in Ospreay's trajectory to eventually be the champion, and it's going to be something that uplifts Swerve to another level here, because I think these guys, like, they've wrestled each other before on the independent circus. I don't think we're going to see any dance moves this time. I think this is just going to be, pure, like, sensational wrestling. And there's no New Japan guy. And does part of that suck because it's Forbidden Door? Yeah, it sucks. But, New Japan's they've got 12 months every year to have somebody ready for something like this. They could bring Tetsuya Naito on a plane and tell him to come lay the shoulders. They could bring Sonata out here, but if they announce Sonata, people will be like, what the fuck is this? They could do Shingo Takagi. That's the only other thing, but is that as strong of an attraction as Will Ospreay versus, who's kind of still like a New Japan guy anyway, even though, he left or whatever, who's still kind of carries that with him. Like, I don't know, man. Like, are you rolling Hiroshi Tanahashi out there again? No, you're not doing that. Who else you got? Tomohiro Ishii? Yota Tsuji? Look, if it was my promotion and I wanted to try to make some new guys, I would recommend Yota Tsuji. I would recommend, Yota Tsuji pretty much, because that's the guy I like. Fuck out of here with the Yu Uemura stuff, so... No, Yu Uemura. No, not on the top of my card. Absolutely not. Not in this year. Shota Umino. That's somebody that could hang at that level. And I would always want to lean toward trying to make the next guys, but none of those guys would be as strong in a spot as Will Ospreay. And the name of the game is making big matches for when you can make them. And the best thing they can do for Swerve Strickland as a world champion is have Will Ospreay go out there with him and have these guys go to war and have them bring it out of each other and submit, some fire. And I think these guys are going to do it. So we've got the expiring contracts in WWE this week. Oh, man. So there was one angle I was going to take on this, and I thought that I saw something interesting as far as, yeah, man, what are these contracts really? Like, why do we keep refreshing and there's a new WWE person with a deal coming up? So I saw a comment that asked, hey, are these shows all the result of back in 2019? We heard those rumors about WWE not wanting to lose anybody to AEW. So they were just saying, sign these 5-year deals and do not go there. And you know what happens? The time passes, you don't even think about it. We look up and it's 5 years later, and what's happening? Becky Lynch is up. Chad Gable's up. Ricochet's up. Natalia's up. Several other people are up as well, like that are kind of like on the periphery. And I think it kind of exposes what people don't want to talk about, like as far as like, yeah, man, they've been trying to make sure no one goes to AEW for much longer than, it seems. And I guess I'll just talk about Becky Lynch. Let's start there. So Becky loses the belt. They do like this kind of like played up thing, like, she's on Twitter talking about to be continued. They've heavy-handedly kind of pushed this thing. And I don't know, man, something don't smell right. Like, I don't know why. Like, obviously there's, the thought of, yeah, WWE put out these easy PR wins and whatever. But once someone gets into free agency, anything can happen. When someone's not under a contract, because the dirty secret for a lot of these things is people don't actually make it to free agency. Around the times like when Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn were coming up on their deals, Drew McIntyre were coming on their deals, they were not getting into free agency and then meeting with people saying, hey, this is my offer, this is what I got here. Like, WWE's re-signing them, obviously, and they're not reaching the point where they're negotiating with anyone else, like Kevin Owens, like Sami Zayn. Now, in Becky's case, she is a free agent. So, what would, like, if you were, I'll just ask it to you guys listen to this show. If you were Becky Lynch, would you take a phone call from AEW? You absolutely have to take the call to see just what the number is, right? And if you're anyone that says, no, I wouldn't take the call, I would say you are insane and you need to stop having a blind sense of loyalty to the Fed, or imagining that Becky Lynch has this blind sense of loyalty that you don't know that you're imagining this for her, essentially. Look at Chris Jericho. For the longest time, I will never work for anybody other than Vince McMahon and WWE. What happened to Chris Jericho? You start looking around, you're like, what offers are out there? And when you're a free agent, you might like something better. You might, just take a call and see what they're talking about. And it's not like Tony Khan doesn't have the money. He'll do it. Test him. I don't like the way this smells. I think Becky has been like for WWE to get her back, I think they're going to need to substantially make her unquestionably the highest paid woman in the history of wrestling to start. Also, they're going to have to offer her some type of creative role, I think, because if you have read any of these Becky Lynch interviews and seen, kind of how she operates, and obviously, some of the stuff in her book is, kind of came out, like, she wants women in women in wrestling to kind of be on par with men. And I don't know, if you look at the way Triple H books women and the spots that he has them in, it's not inspiring. It's not like the peak of how women in WWE have gotten opportunities to get booked. You know, it's just ho hum. Like, and you know, if this was, you know, another company, the way Triple H is, you know, book women, people would go crazy. But of course, you know, the great and all powerful Paul Levesque can't be, you know, challenged or tested or anything. But I see like a lot of, you know, the way that things are booked, and then you read Becky Lynch's interviews, some of that stuff don't add up. It's like, if you feel like you have the capacity to change this stuff, you cannot be happy with what the little scraps that have been given. Obviously, she's a new mom. She is, you know, Rollins is home right now, so you can't underestimate, you know, the value of being at home, you know, with your loved ones and all that. All I'm saying is, would it shock me for her to jump? No. I'm not saying she will. And is this me dipping my foot on both sides? Maybe a little bit. But I think Becky is in a very unique position because she has so much goodwill. She has goodwill that even someone like Mercedes didn't have, because Mercedes essentially spit in the face, it seems like, of like the tradition, and she signed with the evil AEW. They'll turn on Becky too if she does. Don't worry about it. But you know, there is a sect of people that have blamed Becky Lynch and like not valued her, which I think is flat insane. I think the fact that it's gotten this far with WWE, basically saying, yeah, man, you popped this rating in NXT and got us this TV deal. I thought that should have been a blank check for Becky Lynch to write her number. The fact that they have not got her on paper yet, despite that stuff, that's a red flag to me. Like, that's like, hold on, y'all didn't pay her after she did that? We're somewhere else. It's TKO. It's all this stuff like with them, and it's like, it's unpredictable. Just because it's new ownership, maybe they don't see the value in her. Maybe she's looking around and it's like, yeah, man, it's not the same, you know, promotion. I could easily see her being like, yeah, man, I'm gonna go holla at Tony and see what he's talking about. But Chad Gable, let's talk about this guy. So they've had Chad Gable in high profile storylines all the way up to this day, I believe. And he's someone that is gotten, you know, over to a certain level, and he's delivered in ring for WWE. A lot of people talk very positively about him. He's slightly older than I think a lot of people realize. And they're saying his deal's up this week. It's TKO, man. Unpredictable. This guy is a hardcore wrestling fan. This man tweeted out a picture of Mitsuharu Misawa and Toshiaki Kawada today. Today is June 3rd, which is the 30th anniversary of their best match. This guy could easily walk out the door. Yeah, I think you know where he would go. So let's not sugarcoat it. And AEW's letting a lot of people go right now. Like, Jake Hager's gone. A lot of the backstage people, like Arn Anderson, Mark Henry's gone. So both companies are like deciding who's important and who they feel can, you know, they can let walk off into the sunset. I just feel like if you are someone of value, they do not let you get this far. Like, as far as like, yeah, man, it's so unpredictable. And I'm just looking, I'm removing the aspect of, oh, yeah, it's a work. I don't want to hear that shit. But I think it would look like the way the Kevin Owens ones looked. Like, yeah, man, they offered him this insane amount of money, so they don't even get to make the call legally. They have to go through intermediaries and shit like that. Ricochet, another interesting name. Yeah, man. Ricochet at one point was one of my one of my 5 favorite wrestlers in the world, maybe like around like 2017, maybe. And he's been, to say the least, he has had an up and down career in WWE. You know, his lack of promo skill has been well known. Obviously, his wrestling style has been something like, you know, that did not exist in WWE kind of before him. Even, you know, people can bring up Rey Mysterio if they want, but Ricochet was doing some groundbreaking, game-changing shit. The day that Ricochet news hit, Will Ospreay was tweeting out handshakes with him. Will wants him in bad, I imagine. This guy, like at one point when AEW started, I felt like Ricochet, like, he should have already been in AEW, because he's like one of those guys. Like, he was in PWG, he was in New Japan, and all this stuff. And, you know, he made the choice he made, and, you know, he went to NXT, had a, you know, great career in NXT, but in the main rosters never really hit like that. Like, and I think we all can admit that. And he is older now. Like, he's not the Ricochet that he once was, but he's still pretty damn good and capable of doing a lot of things. I would be shocked if, you know, Ricochet is also, like, you know, made himself very aligned publicly with the brand. He was definitely going to bat for WWE Speed just as recently as a couple weeks ago. He's definitely, you know, gone heavy for WWE publicly in the past when people weren't, you know, thrilled with his booking and all that. And that man loves the Fed. He loves Elon too, apparently. But I don't know, man. What do I want to see Ricochet anywhere else? Like, and I think the question would be AEW, obviously. I think there's room for him just because, like, he's so unique. The only thing is, you do have, you know, a lot of flyers already in AEW. You got Rey Fenix, you got like Dante Martin, you got Vikingo that's there. So, like, can you mix him in with them? And Will Ospreay, obviously, you know, restart that legendary kind of rivalry that's always there. But, you know, he does have his woman in WWE, which, you know, we'll see, you know, what role that plays. But, you know, I think they have to decide who's important to him. And, you know, Ricochet needs to decide, like, what he wants. If he wants to just run it up, if it was me, I'd be like, hey, TKO, what's up? Like, and I would make it clear that I will leave. Like, don't get it fucked up. I will leave. But I don't know. I don't know for Ricochet. Like, I'm kind of in the middle. Do I want him to stay? Do I want him to go? Because, like, I don't know if he's the same Ricochet that he was in 2017. Is there a version of Ricochet in 2024 and beyond that's probably still really great? Sure, there probably is. But I think it's not easy to just jump promotions. And then if you stay, you might get left behind too, because it's like, oh, you came back. There's no place for you to really go. So thanks for coming back. Thanks for not leaving, but there's not actually a move up for you. So I don't know, fuck it. Let him go. Like, why not? Like switch this shit up, man. You know, Ethan Page went to NXT. Ricochet can go to AEW. Fair trade. But yeah, man, it's a lot, man. Like, as far as those free agents, I think Natalya was mentioned as someone that did not have a deal yet as well. And Natalya inside of wrestling is kind of so connected with everyone, like in all promotions in the country, out of the country, that she is a real wild card, because she could be like, yeah, I want to go wrestle in Budokan Hall. I want to go wrestle in Korakuen Hall. I want to go work Sumo Hall. I want to go to, you know, Marigold. I want to go to Stardom. And really, she could write her own ticket out there. Lots of years in the game, been to Japan, has those connections to go anywhere. So, like, I think Natalya could easily jump. Probably a cool, you know, she's got a lot of ideas, but I think I would be interested to see, you know, her bounce as well. I don't think you can find anyone on the list where I'm like, Yeah, I think I'd rather see them stay in WWE unless they're like, these factory kind of wrestlers. Like, but yeah, man. So I'm gonna open up. We're live on the podcast right now. We're still going. I don't have much else written down as far as topics, and I don't want to do a full review without James here. So I'm gonna let the Twitch chat ask me some questions. I'm gonna open it up, and let them help your boy out, and we're gonna go maybe like 20 minutes or so, maybe 30, and let's see what they got. So this is on them. So first question comes from Zekumaki. What are your thoughts on TNA? TNA, and also comes from Bruhamian. TNA, is it finally done? I don't think it's finally done, because much like roaches, TNA will never die. No matter what happens, someone will swoop in and save TNA. There will always be a TNA. like they will always, like they're saying in the comments, TNA will outlive us all. Are there signs that do not look great? Correct. There are a lot of backstage people getting fired. Jordan Grace walking on to NXT getting paid an exorbitant amount of money for, her appearances. I don't know, man. Like, TNA's always kind of wanted to, or I won't say always, of late, they've seemed to want to play very nice with WWE. We know how that normally ends. If they end up as a tab on Peacock, I would be kind of sad to see another promotion disappear and end up as a tab. But I think it's a place, it had a little bit of buzz at the beginning of the year, but I think that quickly got co-opted by grifters who were trying to say they could be the number 2 promotion in America and stuff like that, just like as a side swipe at AEW, which obviously was not realistic at all. And I think it's a good place. Like, we need more promotions to, have young talent come up through. Like, Leon Slater's getting a chance, like in TNA. Obviously Jordan Grace is over in TNA. Like, it just can't be. I don't know. I don't want to see a promotion go out of business or sold, essentially. Thoughts on the Best of Super Junior semifinal. Did not see it. Make sure you listen to Keepin It Strong Style. I'm sure they will have plenty of thoughts on that. Let's see what else we got. Hit me with the questions, y'all. Let's get them. So let's see. Brewhaven, the company that lived, says 6 figures. She's gone. Several TNA folks are begging for the NXT. Wow, I'm not even going to say that last word. Yes, I did see a lot of the TNA wrestlers begging to get involved in the so-called prohibited portal. The prohibited portal obviously reeks and stinks like of a, ripping it off or whatever. Let's see. Darius God says, we already know that Becky's not leaving, but do you honestly see Gable leaving? I don't. I don't see him leaving just because, there's an element of WWE putting this stuff out there to be kind of like look like the wins that they did not get for Ospreay, for Monet, and also for Okada. So they want to manufacture the wins. So Gable's not someone I see jumping just because he's been a lifer in that system, but nothing would shock me really. Like as far as like, yeah, man, these wrestlers, they want to get paid somewhere. So Zach, what did you think of that Drake verse? I did not hear it yet, but I heard he redid Hey There Delilah. Yeah, don't want any parts of that. Kingdom North, or Zekamaki said, what other women's matches do you add to Forbidden Door? Glad you brought that up. So I heard Tony versus Mina got announced. We've got Stephanie Vicker and Mercedes Moné. I think I would add Willow Nightingale teaming up with Tam Nakano. someone that she's just wrestled recently. You know, went to war together. They could easily respect each other. And maybe you could pair up like I think Tony's already kind of taken, so I don't know if you can put Mariah May with her, and you know, or I would like Mariah May and Sariano to run it again. I really would like that match. I would like them to just import Starlight Kid and Azumi. Personally, could I get a Willow and Tam versus Statlander and man, I need somebody that would pair off with Tam in this scenario. Who do you guys think would be a good person to pair off with Tam? Maybe Suzu Suzuki. Why not? So King of the North says, who would you pair Micah up with for a title defense on Forbidden Door? I would pair Micah up with Stat Nasco Tori. That is nasty, King of the North. Let's see. Oh, Mayu. Correct. But Mayu, Statlander's evil, so we're not doing that. Statlander and Momo. There you go. That's it. Willow and Tam versus Statlander and Momo. I'm in on that one. Who we pair up Micah with as a title defense on Forbidden Door? Mariah May. Why not? I think, you know, she's set for a big push later in the year. She could afford to lose. She's over. And she could bring it out of Mariah or out of Micah in America, I think. Brewhaven, who do you think Okada's facing at Forbidden Door? I think Okada is not going to be on the show, personally. Keep me away from all of those people. But if I had to pick one person, maybe you go with like Tomohiro Ishii or something. Just, you know, a guy who used to be affiliated with. Maybe he it would be funny if he fought Tanahashi. That would be funny. I wonder what Naito's doing. Okada and Naito. Let's see it. I kid. I joke. There's a guy. Give me 5 matches that I think will happen this year at All In. That's kind of a large demand, but I will try my best. Okada Omega 5. I'm going to take Swerve Strickland and Bryan Danielson. I think Will Ospreay and Heyman Page. I will go with Mariah May versus Toni Storm. And Young Bucks versus... Damn, you can't even really say Big Cope no more because Cope got the broken leg. So I don't know if he'll make it back. But, man, I guess another Young Bucks and FTR match, but that seems kind of boring, doesn't it? Yeah, I'm not sure, man. MJF, I feel like he's got to be in there somewhere. Maybe Ospreay and MJF actually would work too, or I don't know who they would put Hangman with because I don't think he's going to be factored in for quite a while. So let's see. What is the % chance of Rossi and WWE doing something while WWE is on tour in Japan? High. I think since they are house shows, I could easily see them doing like a presentation of Marigold, be like, hey, this is the Marigold roster. Please support them. Please check them out, you know, and stuff like that while they're there. I don't think they'll get in the ring and wrestle or anything, but could they be like seated front row? Could they even get an entrance or something? Easily. Brewhaven, give me Okada squashing Yuya Uemura. Wow, that'd be funny. Okada and the Bucks versus Bishamon and Ishii. Not a bad option. Yoshihashi, MJF, and Ospreay. Dr. Larry says, who will be the team at Blood and Guts? Ugh. I do not know. I'm gonna punt on that question, Doc. Frankie says Mercedes versus who? I would probably say I think you do Mercedes and Willow again at All In if you build it back up and get to it. Darius the God says I feel confident we're getting Heyman and Swerve and Ospreay versus MJF. Bucks versus Beans and Toast and Motor City Machine Guns versus Bucks. Bucks versus Lucha Bros 5 could work. It could. Bozilla's being scooped up. Yeah, absolutely. She's going to the Fed, brother. Bucks versus Grizzled Young Vets. That would also be awesome. Except the Grizzled Young Vets are very heel the one time they were in. Brewhaven says he thinks Danielson will be in Blood and Guts. Possibly. Team UE versus Team DCF or BCC versus UE. Man, so the Undisputed Era versus the Don Callis or Undisputed Elite. I think that would mean UE. What is UE? I think that I don't know. The Don Callis family is weird because I think they're all great wrestlers. It's just narratively it doesn't ever work out the way that we want it to. Let's see. Mercedes versus Athena at All In. That'd be nice. Plan the next 5 women's champions. Man, that's a lot, dog. All right. So I think you're looking at, obviously, we got Toni Storm right now. I think that's going to go to Mariah May at All In. After Mariah May, probably look at Mercedes. After Mercedes somehow comes off the TBS belt. I don't know to who. Actually, no. Mercedes is going to keep that. I think Statlander is going to beat Mariah May for the championship after Mariah May's babyface. Statlander will win the title at last. I don't think she's ever been the women's champion. Willow Nightingale will beat her for that. Then Mercedes will challenge her, beat her again for the title, and then it will go back to Willow again. Yeah, playing the next world champions at 11:45 a.m. Yeah, or p.m. Excuse me. Oh man. I wonder who the Learning Tree would face. That would be pretty funny. He's got to teach somebody. So yeah, I think tell you more to come under the Learning Tree of Chris Jericho. Frankie says, I think you see the return of Hater in there somewhere. Yeah, she could be. She's been out for quite a while. Dustin Rhodes actually retweeted a picture of her that she posted 2 years ago today. I don't know if that was for him to just admire the picture that he retweeted or if it's a sign of things to come. So she's been out a year, so I just can't commit any fantasy booking to her. What about Britt Baker? You know, she's due to be back. Maybe she could be in there somewhere. I don't know. Taichi singing to the ring and Jericho yelling at him that he wants to be in Fozzy would pop me. Yes, that would pop me as well. But let's see. Darius the God says, to be frank, if anyone knows anything about Jamie, it's Dustin. Maybe. Never know. All right, guys. It looks like the questions are slowing down. But make sure you guys are following all the shows on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Check them all out. You guys know the list. You can refresh them on there. This is normally James's portion, so I'm going to let that ride. Make sure you're checking out OneLifetimeWorldwide.com for all your merch and everything like that. Frank Leone says, who's your special boy, Rich? Wow. That's quite an odd way to phrase that, Frankie, but I in the interest of transparency, I think there are at least 3 for me. So I think you got to start with the AEW World Champion, Swerve Strickland, the special guy, and Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho. Let's just start there. So those are the 3 guys right there. So, but yeah, make sure you're checking out all the shows. and all that. And I'll holler at y'all next week, and we will do the thing in full force and, weigh in. We'll have more to talk about as well with, the further promotion of the Swerve and Ospreay program. We will probably get some answers to some of this free agency stuff with these expiring deals. So we will do the damn thing. So I'll holler at y'all next week. Peace.
Summer concerts, pool parties, chill nights under the stars. We're stocking up our closet so you're ready to look your best for all of it. At Plato's Closet in West Ashley and North Charleston, we're buying all things summer. So bring in your tees, tote bags, sandals, sunglasses, and more. We pay cash on the spot for gently loved name brand looks. Plato's Closet is the go-to destination for trend-forward teens and young adults who support local and shop sustainable. Visit Plato's Closet today. Plato's Closet, located in West Ashley on Sam Rittenberg Boulevard and North Charleston on Rivers Avenue.